Hello and welcome to this Kennel Connection training video. This video is going to go over all the options that you have for online reservations for the boarding module. So the first thing we're going to do is go into OLR settings or online reservations, OLR settings. And here's our section for boarding. There's a ton of options that you can do in here. The first thing is you can require approval. So this means a client submits an appointment, but nothing is added to the database until an employee approves it. You can allow them to cancel boarding reservations through the client portal. And if you do turn this on, you get to do a cutoff time. 24 hours or 48 hours is pretty common. You're able to limit how far in advance they can make an appointment. If you don't put anything in this field, they'll be able to book up to a year in advance. It's not required that they have to choose a time, a pickup, drop-off time for boarding. But if you do want to have that, you get to set up the hours that they can choose. So option one is you come here and restrict the customer arrival departure times, and then you would come here and set those up, whatever you'd like them to be. If you do it this way, every day that you're open are going to have these same hours. Option two is you come up to business hours, and this is where you can do different times for different days of the week. So you'll see how I have Monday through Friday is a certain time, and then Saturday is a different time. So what's nice here is this is how you tell it what days are you open to accept drop-off and pickups. You just check the days that you want. So Sunday's not allowed for me. And then you get to do up to 3 different times that you're open. So maybe you guys are closed over lunch. This is a great option. They wouldn't be able to choose any times that you don't have. You just click on it and do whatever time range you'd like. And then again, you can do up to 3 different times as you'd like. And you'll see Saturday's different, 9 to 12. Here are the tabs. So what happens when they go to make an online reservations is they click on a tab to choose the departure service. They choose their feeding. They choose their exercise. This is depending on what you have turned on. And if you check these boxes, that means that they have to choose something before they can get past that screen. So they will be required to choose a feeding. They will be required to choose an exercise. If you don't check those boxes, that means it shows all the options that you have available, but they're not required to choose anything. They can basically go past that screen. This would be if you don't want them to have to choose a time, and otherwise you turn that on. You can allow them to make a boarding appointment for the same day, meaning they're coming in today. If you do, you get to put how far out in advance. You could do an hour or 2 from now. If you don't want them to do that, you would just say same day, not allowed. Now for runs, the way that online reservations works for runs is you have these 2 options here. So if you turn these on, what that means is Kennel Connection will try to put them in the last run that they were in. If that's full, it tries to put them in the last run size that they were in. If those are both full, it always goes to pending so that an employee can choose a run. Now, one thing to note here is if you're not paying attention, it will, so maybe the last time they were there, they were in a strange run they're normally not in, maybe a different size they're normally not in, or a different price that they're normally not in. If you're not paying attention, the system's going to put them in that same run and it'll make the appointment. So most folks who have runs, they actually turn these options off, especially if you're going to require approval because it's going to go to pending anyway. And this will force an employee to open the appointment and choose a run before it's saved. So definitely an option if you want. Now they're not able to choose the run size, but I'm going to show you a workaround for that and maybe something that you decide to turn on. For the confirmation email, you can make it or have it send the same email that desktop sends. That's pretty common because it has the vaccination stuff in there. So you check this first option. You can opt not to send an email, or you can do a special email through here. Now, all these boxes that you're able to do any custom message that you like, so you can change this however you'd like. And anything that's in these brackets, it's going to load the client name, it'll load the module, it loads the pet name. So you don't have to type those in yourself. If you have to deny an appointment, this would only be if you have require approval turned on. Here is the default denial email. Again, you can change this however you'd like. A nice option for this or feature is that this is actually going to pop up on the screen and you're able to edit it at that point before you send it. So that's nice. You can add some kind of other message in here if you'd like to. We do have a waitlist feature so that if you don't have room or concerned you're not, instead of denying that appointment, you can add it to the wait list. This will let you save that appointment, and then if a room becomes available, you can move it to your schedule. Again, this is the message, but it will pop up on the screen and you can change this however you'd like before you actually send it. So business hours, this is how you decide what days of the week are you open for drop off and pickups. And then if you decide to put your times here, you put whatever times are available. And this is the only thing the clients can choose. Customized pages is a really nice place. This is where you can put custom message for any of these pages that they go through. So when a client makes a boarding appointment, they have to choose their pet, they have to choose their dates, they have to choose the exercise and so on, depending on what you have turned on. And on every one of those pages, you're able to put custom messaging in here. So it's a great opportunity to get that information over to your client without having to tell them on the phone. They get to read it at their leisure when they're making these appointments. So it's a really nice system. Our notice. What's great about the notice is you can require that they have to check a box that they acknowledge it and accept it before they can continue. And you can pretty much type as much information in here as you'd like, whatever's important to your business. So maybe you put what vaccinations you require, what your actual drop-off pickup times are. It's just up to you. You have 2 different spaces or boxes that you can put information. We also have different colored fonts, which is really nice. This breaks up the message so that it kind of grabs their attention a little bit more. So you just click on the color and then you can go to whatever color you want down here to change it. I'm going to leave this on red. And this would be a different color. We'll see what that looks like. So for the pets, they click to choose their pets. This is an example of maybe a message you want to put in there. So you're not required to put messaging, but it's just a great opportunity to give them any extra info that you need. So for the pets, when they choose their dates, maybe you put your upcoming summer hours, let's say, or your next holiday hours, something like that. These are our departure services. You're able to actually name it anything you'd like. And then you could put some kind of message in here if you'd like. You also tell it what days of the week that you accept departure services. So I don't accept that on the weekend. So I actually turn that off. If they make an appointment on the weekend, it will tell them departure services are not available for these dates. Please choose a date like Monday through Friday. So you can see how that works. So for feedings, this is an example of a message that I have in there. On the feedings, it'll have a pop-up to ask, do you want this every day, every other day, the first day of the appointment, and so on. That's something that you can turn off just by unchecking this box. It does default to every day, but if you don't want to force them to choose that, you can just turn off that screen altogether. They are able to add notes, feeding notes, and that's all pulled into the appointment. But if you don't want them to do that, you just turn it off. You're able to sell products through here. So foods or treats or whatever you may offer. So this is a place where you put some kind of message. Maybe you're having a sale on treats in September. That would be a great place to put a message so the client sees that maybe they'll choose more than one of those items. Exercises work the same way as feedings. I'm actually going to turn on the selection just so you can see what that looks like, and you can decide if you want to turn that on and off. That's do you want it every day, every other day, and so on. The services page, these are other services. So maybe you offer massages or anything extra. We'll see how you set that up. So you can put some kind of message here. If you do offer pickup and delivery, you're able to put some kind of messaging here. So for vaccinations, this is the most common way people set it up. You would put acceptance required. And what it does is it'll show if they have a missing or expired vaccine. Your Bordetella is expired, or we don't have a date for the rabies. And they basically have to check a box before they can continue. You're able to put any kind of custom message here. So you change this up however you'd like. We do have default messaging, but otherwise you can change it. Another way to set this up is you can require that they have to provide the date. So it'll list every vaccine that say they're missing or expired, and the client is responsible to put a date in there. If you do it this way, this appointment's always going to go to pending, because now an employee has to click to accept those dates. That's what actually updates it in the database. You can also require that they have to upload a document to you, a vaccine record. One thing to note about that is, even though it's very simple to upload a document, some people get stuck. If they do get stuck knowing how to upload, they would not be able to use the online reservation system. So maybe that's something that you would make optional instead. I'm going to set it back this way. We do have a signed contract option, which is really nice. So instead of printing stuff out and having to pay for all that ink, you can actually have the client sign it while they're making an appointment. You can require it for the first time, require that they have to sign it. They would sign it, of course, with their mouse. You can require it for every appointment they make, or just the first time. here's where you decide what are the terms. So if you guys already use the contract that comes with desktop KC, you could just click to use that one here. Or if you want to set up a special one just for online reservations, you can type in your terms here. A nice option for the contracts is you have opt-in or optional terms. So anything that makes sense for your business, these are just optional ones I created. When it displays for the clients, they can either say accept or decline. So they get to choose what they want to do. We also have mandatory terms. So again, anything that's important for your business, these are the ones that they have to accept. And then what happens is it saves a copy of the contract with everything they agreed to with their signature. And we'll see what that looks like here in a little bit. When they submit the appointment, you can add some more messaging here if you'd like. So if you do require approval, it's going to be a pending appointment. Maybe you put a note about when to check back. It'll take us 2 or 3 days to approve it, or whatever you'd like to see. There's just an opportunity to get more information over to them. Appointment questions. This would be if you want to ask questions for the first time that they come for boarding or every time. So again, anything that makes sense for your business, you can put it in, and then they would have to fill this out or type in something. This stuff is going to be saved on the instructions box of the appointment, so you don't have to go back and try to find it. It's already there for you. Document settings. This would be if you wanted to upload a document to you. So most commonly would be vaccines, but maybe you have some other kind of form they're supposed to fill out. You could put a message here. I would not require this again, because if they get stuck, they would not be able to use the online reservation system. You can make it optional. You can also type a box or message down here and have them agree to it. So maybe you put what vaccinations you required. That's what's great about this system. There are several places that you can put that super important stuff. So maybe vaccines you'll include it on that first page when they log in. Maybe it's part of your notice. Maybe it's part of your contract. You can add that here too. Just put whatever works best for you. If you do process credit cards through here, you can set up online reservation deposits. So for boarding, you can do a flat rate, which is I make an appointment, I'm just charged this one amount. Or you can charge something for every night they're going to stay. So I'm charging for I'm going to stay for 7 days. I'm charged times 7. You're able to put a message here. So most people put whatever their cancellation policy is. And then down here at the bottom is where you decide, are you going to charge for every pet that person books? So times 3 pets, or just one time. I book 3 pets, but I'm only going to be charged one time. The rest of these tabs are where you create all your add-on options. Now, this is a great opportunity if you don't really have add-ons like feedings and treats and exercises. It's a great opportunity to maybe create some new ones for online reservations. We're getting a lot of feedback about a lot of revenue being generated just from all these add-ons, $1 here, $5 here. It really adds up after a while. So definitely something to consider. So you can create as many of these as you'd like. You'll see how I have my feeding set up. So I'm going to show you, if you decide to add these new ones, you have to add them in your desktop Kennel Connection. So that's back over here. It's going to be under File and Lists. So you have an exercise and feeding. So maybe you're going to create some new ones. It needs to exist here so that the system knows how to invoice it at that point. So you would just do new food. You name it whatever you want. You're going to put your rate. Down here at the bottom, because you can give feedings and exercises up to 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening, you have to decide how do you want it to charge. So if I do charge by service and they choose it morning, afternoon, and evening, they're charged 3 times. If I charge by day, no matter how many times they choose it, they're just charged 1 time. So this is very important that you do this step first, otherwise your invoicing is not going to be correct. So here's your feedings. If you want to set up extra exercises, this is a place to do that. Other services are those extra services. So again, maybe you don't normally offer things, but it's a great opportunity to create some and see what you can generate as far as revenue goes for this sort of thing. So once you set those up, you come back over here. It's very simple to add. You would hit Add New and check the box. And then you have to choose the item that you're going to choose from your desktop. So maybe do breakfast. Now, what's great about the LinkedIn item is very important because this is how it invoices, but your client is only going to see the title and the description, and you can type anything you want to in here. So you'll see how you can be very creative in how you describe these options. Maybe your client gets excited and they want to sign up for it. Another option that you can do is default what pet type this is good for. So if you guys do board cats and dogs and maybe birds or whatnot, if I say this is for a dog, if a client is booking a cat, they don't see any of the dog stuff and vice versa. It's a nice way to filter that out so the client doesn't have to see a bunch of stuff that doesn't apply to their pet. If you leave this blank, it applies to every pet type. So that's how you can default this. You're not required to show the price. You just turn it off if you don't want to show it. And then here's where you decide what time of day is it good for. So maybe you have an afternoon hike. You can default it to afternoon, and then whenever it makes the appointment, that's already set up for you. That means also the client doesn't have to choose what time or when it's good for. It's already set for them. But if you do leave it open for all day, maybe you get the opportunity for a few extra add-on services. There is a place for it to ask the quantity for feedings. That's saved in the how much instructions of the appointment. So if that's something that you don't want the client to do, you just turn this off. And then you can always decide what order do they see this stuff. So maybe you want to sort things together a certain way. This will be totally up to you. Exercises is exactly like feeding. So you'll see how I have my stuff set up. So again, title in the description is anything you'd like. Be very creative in how you describe it. Maybe you'll get some extra services that way. Now products, if you do sell products, you can do it through here, but this is a good workaround for the run size that we were talking about earlier, because right now they're not able to choose a run size. If you'd like to set it up this way, what you would do for this is you would have to come back to your desktop, into your inventory, and you would set up the different types of sizes that you have. So I have, if I can remember, oh shoot, what was the name? Luxury. Here it is. So all you have to do is hit new. The only thing that you need to do here is add the code. You don't have to put a price. You don't want to put any price here because then you'd be charging them double. The price for boarding comes from the actual board part. This is just so they can tell you what size they want. So you would come into your inventory, always hit new, and you set up however many different size of runs that you have. So just the code and save. That's all you have to do. And then back over in Live Access, you would choose that option from the drop down. So whatever item you have. And again, the title and the description is whatever you want. So it's important that you describe what the run is, or room size, what it all involves. You also want to put the price here, but there is no price. You don't want to show the price or anything. And you don't want to have a rate here because then you'd be charging the person twice. This is just so they can tell you the size they want. So a good workaround if that's something you'd like to set up. Extra services. These are all the extra stuff that you may have. So these are examples of what I have in my database. Again, you don't have to show the price if you don't want, and you can default it to a particular pet type. So these are considered other services. For your departure services, that's set up under the grooming tab under groom services. So it's really great system that we have set up here, that it doesn't have to be just a bath or just a nails or just a groom. You can have combination services. So we're going to look at this first item, luxury spa service. You'll see how I described it. So it kind of is nice to know exactly what's included and so forth. So we're going to edit this one. So the title and the description is anything you want it to say. Most people do not show the price or anything related to grooms or baths. Nails, maybe yes, but otherwise, usually not. A nice option, or sometimes people in the description, they'll put what the price starts at, or price to be determined at check-in. If you want to get them any information, that's something that you could do. The duration here is how long it makes the appointment for. So this is going to be 180 minutes. I can also default the pet type that this is good for. So maybe you have something for cats that doesn't apply to dogs and vice versa. But if I leave this blank, it's available for all the pet types. Down here is where you decide what module this is good for. So of course, if you're going to use it for boarding, you want to check that. Grooming, this would be just a grooming appointment. This will be, of course, if you use that online reservations for grooming. But maybe a luxury spa services is too much. I can't do that for daycare, so I'm going to leave that turned off. So that means if I have all these modules turned on, this particular service will be available for boarding and grooming, but not daycare. At the bottom here is where you decide how is it going to make that appointment in the grooming schedule. So of course, when you have a grooming appointment, you have to check one of these boxes, bath, groom, nails, or other. And then when it invoices, it's going to have a line item for those items. So for this is a luxury spa service. They're getting everything. So I want it to check all those boxes. That means when it makes the appointment they're already checked. And when it invoices, there's a line for each of these items. You get to decide how the pricing works. So most folks do the desktop rate because your prices are right there. A lot of people for grooming, they don't do anything with the price till they see the pet. So it'd work the same way you normally do your grooming stuff. But you can do other things. Maybe you want to do the desktop rate plus a few extra dollars here. Or you can do a custom rate. So this bath would always be $50. You can go ahead and put it here. You can also no charge it if that ever applies to you. At the bottom, you can also link this back to another service. So maybe, for example, this is our luxury spa service. It also includes anal glands, so I can actually choose it. That means when it makes the appointment, this is already chosen. There's going to be a line on the invoice for it, and it's going to have this price too. An unlimited amount of departure services you can put. Just a couple of other things. If you guys don't like the wait list schedule, you can turn that off so it doesn't show as an option. But if you do turn it on, a client has, or an employee has to click at least 2 or 3 times to make it go. So they couldn't click it on mistake, in other words, if they didn't want it. And then we also have some options of how do you want to be notified if someone makes an appointment. So you can send to multiple email addresses. If you require approval, that's the first one. If you don't require approval, it's going to be the second option. So now your client is ready to make an online reservation. So you're going to go into your portal. Now, this is how I have my portal designed. You can design this in any way that you'd like to. All the verbiage and the pictures and the colors and everything's all customized. So it'd be whatever you want it to say. So my client goes into the portal. They're going to make a new appointment now. And I'm going to choose boarding. So this is an example of that notice. Again, this is whatever you want it to say, whatever makes sense for you. I can't get past this screen until I check this box that I acknowledge it. So that's a nice option to have. They see all of the pets that they have, and they can choose whatever pets that they want. We're going to do a dog and a cat just so we can see the difference there. So the days of the week, you'll see that Sundays are all grayed out. That's because I have my schedule set that I don't accept drop-off or pickups on those days. You'll also see September 13th and 14th are blocked off. That's the days that you go into your calendar, you mark them as closed. So that's actually something that we just added to Live Access. Let me just briefly show you where that's at. That will be up here under boarding and calendar. So all you do is hold your mouse over where the date is, and it says click to set the status. So if you do boarding closed, that means it's closed for online reservations. They don't see a message that you're closed. It just grays the dates out. So maybe you have an employee that's going to be going on vacation and you can't take a lot of drop-off pickups. That's something that you could turn off, or you're too busy for the summer. You don't want to accept it. Whatever you like to do, you can definitely turn it off if you'd like to. If you do business close, that's going to close all the modules for online reservations. So if you do daycare and grooming, you can do it there too. So I have turned off the 13th and 14th. So let's do this. I'm going to do a Saturday just to show you the hours. So now the hours are whatever I set up. I had 6 to 10 and 2 to 6, I believe. So that's the only hours they can choose. They can't choose anything else I don't have. And then the weekend was the special hours. It was 9 to 12. I'm going to choose a Friday, though, so we can do a departure service. So again, whatever hours I have, that's the only things they can choose. Here's my contract. So I accept and I decline whatever I don't want them to do. Accept. These are my mandatory terms. I have to click on here to accept them. And then I would sign with my mouse. And we'll look at that. That looks like here at the end. Here's our departure services. Everything on the screen is custom messaging. So you do whatever you'd like to set up. You don't have to show the price if you don't want to. So maybe we're going to get a luxury service when we go home. This is for, oh, that was the cat. Here's the dog. So maybe he just needs to get a departure bath. So here's the cat. These are the feedings. So you'll see we have cat food. So I defaulted this to cat. They're able to choose how often do they want it and then how much. And they can choose several options they'd like to. Here's our dog stuff. So maybe he's going to get Purina, 1 cup. This is all saved on the appointment. You don't have to go back and try to find it. Maybe I also want him to have a treat. This is the the workaround for the run size. So you turn it on and they just choose whatever they like. So yeah, that sounds great. We'll choose this for both of my pets. Here are the extra services, the other services that I have. So maybe they need to do a brush out, let's say, or clean their teeth. We have exercises. So great opportunity to choose multiple ones, and you guys can set up new ones maybe you never had before. They just choose whatever they like. Here's our questions. So they'll ask for every one of the, or both of the pets that I booked. And the client just types in whatever information. This is all saved for you, so you don't have to go back and try to find it later. This is how the vaccinations display. Don't forget, you can set it up so they have to put a date, and then it would go depending, and an employee would have to click to accept those dates. Same thing for the dog. Here's upload file. It's very simple. They just click to upload and they choose whatever document they have. So at the end, what it does is summarizes everything they signed up for. So it's a great opportunity to review for every pet. Maybe they forgot to do something for one pet. They can go back and choose other items. So this is what we got for the other pet. I have online deposits turned on. So this is the last screen that they see. So if they have a credit card on file, it's going to charge that card. If they don't have a card, they're going to be required to put one at this stage. What's nice about it is that's saved for next time. So next time they do an appointment, they already have a card on file. Plus it's saved on your side. So you have a card on file too if they come in the store in the meantime. Now with require approval, it dinged at you if you didn't hear that. It goes to pending. So that credit card is not charged until an employee approves it. So that's really nice. You don't have to worry about refunds if you guys just can't take an appointment. So back over here in online reservations, I could go to pending appointments. And here's the appointment we just did. It shows me what did they accept or decline for those optional terms for the contract. I can open their document through here. It shows me exactly how they answered the question. So you can see all that information. You can go ahead and approve it right away, but you can also edit it before you add it to the schedule. So most people come in here and they're going to make sure they're in the right runs. So maybe this guy doesn't have a run. You can change anything else in here and you want. This red message is just letting you know it's going to charge that deposit whenever I save it. So that appointment was added. That deposit has been charged. The last thing I want to show you was the contract. So this is a really nice feature. If you turn this on for every every appointment, if there's some kind of complaint or they're disputing something, you can go exactly to that contract for that appointment. So this is the appointment that we just made. It has all the information at the top, all of the verbiage that I have for my contract. It will be whatever you guys use. At the bottom would be all those optional terms. What did they agree or decline for the options? And then the mandatory terms, what did they have to agree to? Then it has a signature. So you can download this or print it out or whatever you may need to do. So it's just a nice option not to have to print that out every time. But that's the online reservation system for boarding. You're welcome to set up some one-on-one training time with us so we can help you set up whatever options you may have. If you'd like to do that or have any other questions, please reach us at 888-486-4343. We're at option 2. Or you can email us at support@softwareconnectionllc.com. Thanks so much.